Happy Friday, people. It's time for another workshop. This time we're going to do some creative image manipulation using AI. And the tools obviously have exploded in the past couple of months. We've got DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. Canva has added AI tools to their toolkit, and we have Photoshop just launched their Firefly set of tools. So we have generative AI creation now as a part of the Adobe tools as well. I'm going to show you two different workflows. One is how to use the best qualities of Canvas toolset and how to take those images and then use Stable Diffusion goodness to scale them up and do all sorts of things. And then I'm going to show you an holiday photo that I did. It is here. So I had a boring old holiday photo with Lucas picking up something while we were traveling in, it was Lake Taupo, I think. And that's a piece of bone he was picking up, but it looked like he was actually feeding something. So I thought, how do the Photoshop generative AI tools work? So I created this little dragon that he's feeding and then added a little bit of movement using, again, AI tools. So I'm going to show you that workflow, how to do that in Photoshop and how to add that little bit of a movement into your still photos to make them come alive. So those are the two different workflows I'm thinking about. Let's see, this is completely off the cuff, so it might be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to jump first to Canva. I'll show you the first workflow. So if I jump to browser and let's open up, I've got a small image. So this is 500 pixels times 500 pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'll just create quickly an AI generated image here. So if you go to Canva apps, there's a great tool that I've mentioned before. It's the text to image. Let's go for Filmic, and I've got some sort of prompt I think saved here somewhere that I can use. There we go. So I'll pop this in here. Shakespeare stage play with some additional goodness. Let's see what Canva comes up. And usually the good thing about Canva is it's processing these images fairly quickly. So if I just grab one of those images and see what it looks like. So it doesn't offer a large size images, but it processes these ideas fairly quickly. So that's one. Let's do another round. I'm not happy with I want symmetry. So let's see if we can get something where you have the stage in the center. That's a bit too moody. No, that's fine. Let's go with this one. The lights on the top will be quite a challenge for the AI, so we can see how that works. So there's a stage. And now if I wanted to use this one, it's obviously 500 pixels times 500 pixels, so you can't do much about it. So what I'm going to do is I'll download this one and I'll show you how to scale this up. So let's go from PNG to JPEG, go full quality and download that one. And the tool that I'm using with the if I need to do online scaling or adding to the image, and this is actually a new feature that just came out, you can uncrop in Clipdrop tools, and Clipdrop is part of Stability AI company. So they're using all the goodness that has been built by developers and volunteers in the Stability AI community, and they've packaged it into a more usable version. So here's a whole heap of things. What I can show you first is probably image upscaler. So we have an image which is only 500 pixels times 500 pixels. And what if I wanted to scale it up a little bit, maybe use it in some sort of design work? So I'll just use the 2x, which is free. And to be honest, these tools aren't expensive, taking into account what there is to offer. The free version gives you 2x scaling, and some of the other tools, if you pay subscription, you get priority when it comes to rendering these things. So you get in front of the queue. So that is how quickly it did the 2x. So now our 500 pixels times 500 is now 1000 times 1000. Yes. And it did some image optimization as well. But the big thing is the same as in Photoshop, generative background, is it generative background fill tool? You can do the same thing here with the uncrop. So if I drop the upscaled image that we just created and drop it here, you can see that there's different ways of you can manipulate this. You can you can add more information to the vertical or horizontal direction. So now we're going to go horizontal. There we go. Let's see what sort of imagination stability AI has. So it already spat up a couple of different versions. This is pretty cool. And it followed the same lighting idea. This is freaky. Okay, this is quite nice. I quite like it. But again, like you can jump back and do another direction. So you could grow the image both horizontally and vertically. And obviously we can use the same 3D movement tool for this one, but I quite like the Lucas's one, and I think it's that would be a cool experiment to show you. So okay, so that was the combination of using Canva and Stability AI tools. So that was Clipdrop with Canva tools. And let's jump to, I'll show you the Photoshop interface. So let's jump in that one. Where's our Photoshop? There we go. Just a second. Here we go. I'll drag the Photoshop tools here as well. So we've got Lucas here at the beach. Like you see, there's no dragon. And this is the new version 2003 beta, Adobe Photoshop beta. But for me, these tools have been working perfectly, so it hasn't been any hiccups. So what you can do with this one, you can do the same thing. Let's say first, if you want to scale it up, we'll do the same thing we did in the Unclip. Was it Unclip? What's the name? Clipdrop, sorry. We'll grow the image, and let's say we want to do instead of horizontally, let's grow it to the other direction. So I go and, pardon me, I haven't been using Photoshop in a while, so we have to go and canvas size. Let's grow the canvas to the bottom. Let's try to do a square. So now we have this area at the bottom with no information. What we can do is we'll grab the selection tool. Let's grab that sort of area, and then at the bottom here you see generative fill. And now what I can do is I can give a description what I want. Let's say we just want to have out of focus beach. Let's see if I haven't tried this, so I don't know if it works, but let's go single shell on the sand. Now you see how quickly Photoshop can get this done. So Canva is really quick. Obviously the size is a lot smaller, so we're operating on a 500 pixels to 500 pixels, and now we are blowing up or creating content for area that is size of here we go. Sorry, I had that unselected. So that's what it created. So there's a couple of different options. 1, 2, I don't see the shell. It might be one of those things that is out of focus, which kind of makes sense. If it's out of focus, you wouldn't be able to see it. But yeah, so you can grow the image in the same way as you would do it in the other tools. But here, what I did is I cropped an area, not cropped, but marked an area here where we have something coming out of the water that Lucas is trying to feed. And let's go crazy. I don't have anything ready here, but let's go. What is coming out of water? Baby Loch Ness monster coming out of water and hyper realistic. Let's try that. This is interesting. It's quite hard to do a lock neck monster that is small like that. I should have made it a lot bigger. That is creepy. Oh my goodness, let's do another. This is I think the dragon was a lot easier prompt for Photoshop, and it might be that just the shape. It's really hard to do a Loch Ness monster that is horizontal rather than. Okay, that's nice. Let's go with that one. So now there's two different monsters coming out. But the crazy thing about this is the Adobe's ability, and I don't know how much of this is actually Adobe and how much of this is, but the generative AI model. But if you look at the shadows, the way that the light is coming from the top left, it shows exactly the same in those models that it creates. So it senses the direction of light and creates all of those shadings and everything based on that. So that's quite impressive. Yeah, we go with this one. Okay, let me have a look if okay, that's the old one. I can show you what happened with the old one. So I have the old dragon here, but let's go with this. We have these monsters coming out, and now what I'm gonna do is I'll do a quick crop. Let's make this I don't want to make it squared actually. I don't like the bottom part, so I'm gonna do this, crop the image, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into the next tool, which is for creating those a little 3D motion in the image. So I'll use the good old save for web. I'll scale it down just a little bit so that we don't need to do as much work in the next one. Cool. So we created 2000 times 1600 image, and I'll drop it onto the desktop. Let's call it the Dragon 2. Save. And now I'll show you the next tool, which is called Leiapix. This is what I've been using for creating that motion. What this program does, and I've done this manually in Photoshop, it tries to analyze the depth of the photo, so try to understand what's in the background, what's in the middle, what's in the focus, and what's in the front, and then create a depth map, and then based on that it creates that a little bit of movement. So if we jump back to the browser and have a look at the image, it's pretty good already. Like, it senses that this is in the same focal area as Lucas, and the background is moving nicely. There's a little bit of edge problems with Lucas's hair, but in this case it actually looks like it's almost like the hair is moving in the light. Sorry, in the wind. That's nice. That's a couple little creepy monsters crawling up and adding a little bit of movement. So I hope you liked it. There's heaps of other tools that are using the same backbone services for manipulation and image generation, but I think it's more important to find the workflow that works for you and getting familiar with the tools. Photoshop will be adding, not just Photoshop, but Adobe will be adding a lot of these generative AI and AI assisted tools in their tool set, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, and use creativity. I think the beauty of these is when you're combining reality and spicing it up, adding a little bit of a focal point to the pictures, or adding a little bit elements that help you tell a story, and a little bit of movement to kind of capture the eye of a browser who scrolls through heaps of social media stuff, separating yourself from the pack. Anyways, thanks so much for joining, and leave us a comment, and we want to hear what sort of material you want to see in the future. So we will be going through more of the AI tools and more of the digital marketing tools, and subscribe to our newsletter. And if you are interested in implementing some of these tools as part of your workflows, feel free to contact. There's a free consultation on Mondays and Fridays. Let's go for a cup of coffee and have a chat. Other than that, have a great weekend and see you guys soon. Bye.